This is the seventh in a series of presentations designed to teach you how to have truly effective emotional management and mental-emotional fitness. In the last two sessions, we talked about how to develop an internal locus of control. Doing so is based on the fact that thoughts cause feelings, not events. In rational emotive behavioral therapy, an important distinction is made between temporarily feeling better and getting better. There are many ways to temporarily feel better. Some of them are healthy, many are not. The formula for feelings is event plus thoughts equals feelings. When people take a cigarette break or go to the gym or think about or nearly drink themselves into a coma, they give themselves a temporary break or vacation from their life events and the thoughts that go with them. However, once they stop smoking, stop working out, or sober up, those life events are typically waiting for them, if only in their imagination. And the thoughts they have about them soon return, and they soon end up feeling the way they did before. It's like using over-the-counter drugs to eliminate the symptoms of a cold or the flu. Over-the-counter medications can eliminate symptoms, but once they wear off, the symptoms return, because the cause of the symptoms, a virus, is still infecting your airways. Likewise, when you stop smoking, stop exercising, or sober up, your life events are often waiting for you, if only in your imagination, and the cause of your feelings, your thoughts about those life events often return, and you start to feel better. People often are encouraged to vent their feelings, to get them off their chest. However, venting is much like blowing your nose. When you have a cold and blow your nose, you can temporarily breathe better. However, your nose plugs back up immediately because it's still infected with a virus. Likewise, when people vent about how they feel, they temporarily feel better, only to have those feelings start to return shortly after. The reason? Their life events are still there, if only in their imagination, and they start to think what they always have about them. Getting better means to permanently reduce the frequency, intensity, and duration of emotions like anger, anxiety, depression, shame, guilt, loneliness, and boredom. The only real way to get better is to change the way you think. Doing so is called cognitive restructuring. Dr. Ellis used to call it correcting your crooked thinking. It's important to start talking about feelings and how they come about in more semantically precise and correct ways. If children speak in semantically or grammatically incorrect ways about anything else, adults are often quick to correct them. However, people of all ages routinely misspeak about how their feelings come about and no one says anything. There are emotional and sometimes, perhaps, behavioral consequences for misspeaking about how feelings come about. When you continue to misspeak about how your feelings come about, it's easier to continue to generate more emotion than is necessary or helpful and to miss many opportunities to feel better. For example, people often say others make them mad. Do others make us mad, or do we make ourselves mad by the way we choose to look at things? Does anger come from outside us or inside us? Anger is literally generated in a deep portion of our brains. How does another human being get in there and trigger or make anger? The answer is they don't. We make ourselves mad by the way we choose to look at what happens. No one upsets us, we upset ourselves. Do such things as jobs and kids stress us out? Or do we stress ourselves out by the way we choose to look at such things? Does stress come from outside us or inside us? If we continue to believe that jobs and kids stress us out and believe our stress comes from events outside ourselves, we'll probably continue to experience more stress than is necessary or helpful and miss many opportunities to reduce or even eliminate stress in our lives. Do kids and other people drive us crazy, or do we drive ourselves crazy by the way we choose to look at what they say and do? Can one person really put pressure on another person? Does pressure come from outside someone or inside them? And why would that matter? When we teach young people to deal with peer pressure, do we treat it as an external or internal phenomenon? Which is it? If some stranger asks us to do something, we probably wouldn't feel any pressure to comply. However, if a loved one asked us to do the same exact thing, we probably would feel some pressure. And if we not only wanted them to continue to love us, but thought we needed their love, like we needed air, water, and food in our lives, the pressure we felt would probably be even greater. Pressure comes from inside us, not outside us. It's not caused by what others say and do. It's caused by what we think about them and what we want or perhaps think we need from them. Do other people make us feel guilty, or do we make ourselves feel guilty? If we had a daughter, would it be good for her and her boyfriend as well to believe that he can, in fact, make her feel guilty for not doing what he wants? Can someone hurt our feelings? Can we hurt theirs? Have you ever seen a feeling? Not what someone looks like when they're having a feeling, but an actual feeling itself. Have you ever held a feeling in your hand? Feelings are chemical and electrical events in a human brain. If you can't see them and can't hold them in your hand, how can you hurt a feeling? The answer is you can't. It would be more semantically precise and correct to say that sometimes, because of what we think about someone and what they say or do to us, we understandably make ourselves feel what we call hurt. But you can't hurt someone's feelings, and they can't hurt yours. And if we talk about hurting someone's feelings as part of a bullying prevention program, does that help or hurt the real victims of bullying? Do teachers bore students, or do students bore themselves? If beauty is in the eye of the beholder, where is boredom? Same place. So, though it's perfectly understandable that today's overstimulated young people might be bored by what occurs in classrooms, technically, teachers don't bore students, students bore themselves. Can we make someone else happy? Can they make us happy? Every one of us has, at some point in our lives, tried to make someone happy and not been able to. If we could truly make them happy at will, then why can't we always do it whenever we want to? Can one person make another person happy, or do we just give them an event that they might or might not choose to be happy about? Isn't it ultimately up to them how they choose to look at what we say or do, and what meaning they attach to it, what they choose to expect of us or from us in the first place, and what they focus on about what we say and do, and what they compare it to, and ultimately how much importance they attach to what we say and do, be it something they perceive as good or bad? Abraham Lincoln said, "A man's about as happy as he makes up his mind to be." Could going into a relationship with the expectation that you are going to make someone else happy and they can, will, and should do the same for you be a setup for future disenchantment with that relationship and the other person? Can we make someone feel better about themselves? Can they do the same for us? Does complimenting someone profusely always result in a corresponding improvement in their self-image, self-esteem, or self-worth? If not, why not? The answer to that question, and so many others, is that anything we say or do or that happens is just an event. We all have a host of cognitive choices we make that ultimately determine how we feel, be it about what happens, about others or life, or about ourselves. Choices that we alone can make and that no one else can make for us, and that we can't make for them. It's important to learn and practice new ways of talking about feelings and how they come about. Otherwise, you'll continue to feel worse than necessary or helpful and continue to miss many opportunities to. For example, you could start telling yourself, it's my choice how I want to look at things. It's my choice what meaning I want to attach to what happens. It's my choice what I remember about the past. It's my choice what I focus on. It's my choice what I compare things to. It's my choice what I imagine will happen next. And finally, it's my choice how much importance I want to attach to what does happen. And since the way you feel is really determined by how you choose to think or look at things, and you have a choice as to how you want to do that, then it's also logically true that it's your choice how you want to feel. When people are first told that it's their choice how they want to feel, they often take it the wrong way. They often think we're saying it's their fault for feeling the way they do, or that we're implying that there's something wrong with them for feeling the way that they do. Neither is the case. They also sometimes think we're discounting the importance of some event in their life, like the death of a loved one, or excusing in some way the bad behavior of others by saying that. Please remember that our starting position or philosophy is and always will be that anything people think or feel, or even say or do, is perfectly understandable. However, no matter how understandable it might be, we do have choices to make that we alone can make that really determine how we feel. If we wait for the events of our lives to change for the better so that we can feel better, we may never feel better. It's a question of balancing the 2 points of view. If someone just had lost a loved one, it wouldn't make sense to go up to them at the funeral and say, it's your choice how you want to feel. At that time, it would be more appropriate to say, whatever you feel right now is perfectly understandable. However, if months later, someone was still struggling to get past what happened, but wanted to, it might be time to talk to them in a tactful way about some of the choices they're making and how those choices are causing them to feel, and how they might make them differently. Here are some other new ways of talking. No one upsets me, I upset myself. I'm responsible for how I feel, not them. Or, they're not responsible for how I feel, I am. It's my job to make myself feel better, not theirs. Or, it's not their job to make me feel better, it's mine. Finally, it's not their problem if I feel bad, it's mine. Or, it's my problem if I end up feeling bad, not theirs. Always keeping in mind that whatever you think or feel is perfectly understandable. It's also important to avoid taking unnecessary responsibility for how others might make themselves. If you don't, it's just one more way to feel more emotion that is necessary or helpful. In this case, guilt and shame over how they make themselves feel. The guilt and shame can make it harder for you to do what's best for you. They could even deliberately use it against you to manipulate you into doing what they want, perhaps something that's not good for you. Finally, you might feel the need to defend yourself against the blame they lay on you for how they make themselves feel, and in the process of defending yourself, you could say and do things that just make matters worse. That does not mean that you shouldn't take responsibility for what you say and do, especially when it's something that most people would consider inappropriate. However, people can upset themselves as little or as much as they want to about anything. We don't really control how upset they get. They have choices to make that they alone can make, and they could upset themselves unnecessarily about anything they want to, including something they simply imagine we've said or done and actually haven't. The way to teach yourself to not take unnecessary responsibility for how others make themselves feel is to simply say things like the following to yourself. It's their choice how they want to look at things. It's their choice what meaning they want to attach to what happens. It's their choice what they want to remember about the past. It's their choice what they want to focus on. It's their choice what they want to compare things to. It's their choice what they want to expect of themselves, others, and life. It's their choice what they want to imagine will happen next. And finally, it's their choice how much importance they want to attach to what does happen. Therefore, it's their choice how they want to feel. Whatever they end up thinking or feeling is perfectly understandable, just as it is for us, but they do have some choice in the matter. Furthermore, no one upsets them, they upset themselves. You're responsible for what you say and do, but you're not responsible for how they make themselves feel. They are. It's not your job to make them feel better, it's theirs. You can't. Finally, if they make themselves feel worse than they need to, it's not your problem, it's theirs. You can read more about developing an internal locus of control at www.itsjustanevent.com. Or you can read about how to develop an internal locus of control in the book entitled It's Just an Event, It's Your Choice How You Want to Feel by Ray, which is available at Amazon.com, itsjustanevent.com, or PublisAmerica.com's online bookstore.